Good morning, good morning. It is your boy Jay Goble back at it again for Not Many Noble in the house on the scene on the set, Bible through in 22, reading the entire Bible through in the year 20 deuce deuce. Back at it. Chronological order, started with Genesis, went into Job, and now we're in Exodus. Moses has led the children of Israel, along with Aaron and the leaders, out of Egypt, where God won a mighty victory over the Egyptians, brought the children of Israel out by his mighty hand, and then they proceeded to complain. Were there no graves in Egypt that you brought us out here? Did you intend to starve us to death out here in the wilderness? But they went to Mount Sinai, and they are gathered together. They've received a little bit of instruction with regards to gathering food. They're supposed to gather enough food on the 6th day of the week so that they don't have to do it on the 7th. And they were told to rest. Entered into a rest. They were delivered from Egypt. We are delivered from our sin. They were told to rest. It is a picture of the ultimate Sabbath rest, that age to come, where we will be at rest. And now we are in Exodus 20, which is the giving of the law. God spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahweh your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Now this is on top of the mountain where they weren't allowed to draw near. There was a cloud, there was smoke, there was lightning, there was thunder, there was trumpets coming from the mountain. It was a terrifying scene for the average Joe. And Moses had to go up in it. And that is where he met with God. You shall have no other gods before me. That is number one. You shall not make for yourselves an idol, nor any image of anything that is in the heavens above, nor that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow yourself down to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children, on the third and on the fourth generation of those who hate me, and showing loving kindness to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not misuse the name of Yahweh your God, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. You shall labor 6 days and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to Yahweh your God. You shall not do any work in it. You, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your livestock, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Therefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land which Yahweh your God gives you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his female servant, nor his nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's. All the people perceived the thunderings, the lightnings, the sound of the trumpet, and the mountain smoking. When the people saw it, they trembled and stayed at a distance. They said to Moses, Speak with us yourself, and we will listen, but don't let God speak with us, lest we die. Moses said to the people, Don't be afraid, for God has come to test you, and that his fear may be before you, that you won't sin. The people stayed at a distance, and Moses came near to the thick darkness where God was. Yahweh said to Moses, This is what you shall tell the children of Israel. You yourselves have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. You shall most certainly not make gods of silver or gods of gold for yourselves to be alongside me. You shall make an altar of earth for me, and shall sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and your peace offerings, your sheep and your cattle. In every place where I record my name, I will come to you and I will bless you. If you make me an altar of stone, you shall not build it of cut stones. For if you lift up your tool on it, you have polluted it. You shall not go up by steps to my altar. that your nakedness may not be exposed to it. Excuse me. Okay, a couple things. Actually, man, there's a lot here. I mean, we could talk forever about the Ten Commandments, I think. We could talk a lot, but we're going to keep going. We're going to say a few things and then we're going to keep going. Idols. You shall not make for yourself an idol, nor any image of anything that is in the heavens above or that is in the earth beneath. For the purpose of bowing down to it, for the purpose of praying to it, for the purpose of serving it. So if you have images and you pray to them, that is idolatry. If you have images and you do not pray to them, it is not idolatry. If you have statues, you look to them and you pray to them, it is idolatry. If you have statues and images, I mean, it's pretty simple, right? You would think, but it gets a little complicated, right? Because you say, okay, well, there is a family that I know, and they pray to false gods. They pray to dead saints. They pray to humans that have died long ago, that do not have any power to save. And there are carved images, graven images, pictures, paintings, whatever. And they pray to them, and they wanted me to have it, and so they gave it to me. Are you obligated to keep it? No, of course not. Are you obligated to feel like this is someone else's idolatry? It dare not enter my house? No, it's not your idol. You're not praying to it. But I would say, here's the thing. If you are praying to a picture, it is idolatry. If you are praying to a statue, it is idolatry. You shall not misuse the name of Yahweh your God. We think that sometimes, use the Lord's name in vain. So we switch words. Instead of saying, oh my God, we say, oh my goodness, But really, we have no goodness in and of ourselves. We have no goodness. So it's really just this flippant use of not only God's name, but everything that goes along with it. Everything that goes along with it. Just flippantly throwing statements and words out there. There's not a list of words that are misusing, that are using the Lord's name in vain, because when we flip it, we still, right? We're just using, just flip out a word, just flippy change of a word. We're not changing our heart's disposition. We're not changing really what we're saying. We're just switching a word and thinking that we're obeying the law. What kind of silliness is that? We don't have any goodness. You don't have any goodness in and of yourself. Remember Sabbath day to keep it holy. Interesting, this goes back to creation. So when we look, and all of them really go back to creation, right? The foundation for law is creation. God created us, therefore he places demands upon us. So this harkens specifically back to creation. Say, hey, work 6 days, take 1 day off. Work 6 days, take 1 day off. And now you say, well, it's obvious here. The seventh day is the day to rest, and I agree. But there is a new creation. We've already kind of seen it's not outside. It's not outside the realm of possibility that such an event takes place, that it changes the way we do things unilaterally. Remember, the Passover, it's like, hey, this is such an important event that the new year is going to start here. It's going to change your world. And the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ did that, and his death and resurrection did that. And so the people the early church met the first day of the week. You say, I like this more. And I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you because I love you. I'm not going to argue with you because I love you. Work 6, rest 1. That's the deal. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land which Yahweh your God gives you. Honoring your father and mother is not just blind obedience. It is not just rote obedience. It has a lot more to do with it than just that. You shall not murder. That is me to you. It's me to you. The government still has a responsibility to, remember, we already looked at this in Genesis. It's not like, and this comes from It comes from the beginning. It comes from the beginning. But we already know the Noahic covenant. Remember, if man sheds, but what's the penalty? If man sheds blood, by man his blood shall be shed. That was the purpose. That is the built-in guard, the threat. There's a built-in threat that goes along with it. Don't murder, or we're going to kill you. If you commit murder, your life is forfeit. That's the way it should be. That's supposed to keep you from killing other people. Murdering with malice aforethought. Does that make sense? A little bit? All right. Well, we could talk much longer about it, but we're going to keep going. You shall not commit adultery. Fairly self-explanatory, except that the Lord Jesus Christ, he says, hey, you have heard it said, you shall not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman to lust at her in his heart has already committed adultery with her. So you thought you were good because you had not, you had not had sex with a married woman, or been married yourself and had sex with a woman outside that you're not married to. And Christ says, no, even to look at a woman lustfully in your heart is to commit adultery. So it is 100% sexual purity that is in view here. That's right. One man, one woman, and all of their intimate affections towards each other. Not even the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life, right? Not even lusting after, not even looking and desiring is acceptable, is adherence. That's it. You shall not steal. Yeah, that's it. You shall not take things that are not yours. There is, so then sometimes we get off into the weeds like, well, what is stealing? If I check Facebook at work, am I stealing a minute from my employer? I think legalists would be like, yes, you must account for every moment. And they like that. They like that because then it tells their conscience, I am earning, I am winning, I am doing great. Your employer most likely has hired you to do the work, get it done. Be there, be present. Don't take things that aren't yours. I'm not going to get off into the weeds there about this moment was stolen from me. There's much bigger things as far as the stealing goes. Just this untruthfulness about and trying to take things and trying to weasel out of things. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. This is this lying. Thou shalt not lie, right? This deceitfulness. It kind of goes hand in hand with this stealing and even committing adultery. Really, it's a deceitfulness of heart, right? Making excuses for conduct that is not right, and just selfishness, this underlying, I am going to get what I want, the way that I want it. You shall not covet your neighbor's house, neighbor's wife, servants, anything that's your neighbor's. It goes straight to the heart issue. Straight to the heart. Straight to the heart. And then the people, here's their response: speak with us yourself and we will listen, but don't let God speak with us lest we die. And we are over here telling ourselves that we just want God to show up to us. I don't think we could handle it. I've told this story before, I think. And if not, I'll say it again right here. I had a friend in the Marine Corps, and I was sharing the gospel with him, talking with him. We were good friends. And he said, if God would but run past me right now, I would believe. I don't think so. Here, the children of Israel, they hear God. They hear God specifically say, you shall most certainly not make gods of silver or gods of gold for yourselves to be alongside me. They hear him say it from a mountain, in fire, in flame, in lightning, in thunders, in trumpets coming from a mountain that was empty. Where are these trumpets coming from? Where's the sound of trumpets coming from? You know what I'm saying? That's it. And they don't believe. And they still disobey. So it wouldn't be enough. It's not enough. Nothing's ever enough. It's faith. You got to believe. You got to believe that God said what he said, and that God's going to do what he said he's going to do. Okay, and now we see this law is separate. It is set apart. It is based on creation. It is foundational. We see elements. We can find elements of, we go back, right? We go back and we look at the story even before this law. We can see that this law encapsulates that which has already been communicated in some way, shape, or form. Remember when Abraham goes down to Egypt and he says, hey, this is my sister, not my wife. The king says, hey, what about us? You would have brought judgment on us. Why? Because adultery was already wrong. It was already wrong. When Cain killed Abel, what happened? It was already wrong. Stealing was already wrong. Lying was already wrong. Adultery, already wrong. Disobedience to parents, already wrong. Dishonoring them, already wrong. Sabbath day, already wrong. Violating the Sabbath, it was always wrong from the beginning. It's from creation. Misusing the name of Yahweh your God. Remember, it's this lying. It's the lying. It's what Cain did. How? He said that the wages of sin is not death. That it's okay. I'm going to bring the sacrifice of the field. I don't need to sacrifice an animal. Blood must not be shed. This is not true. It's not that big a deal. Misusing the name of God. Because you've misused exactly what he said. Misrepresented him. Don't make for yourselves any idols. No other gods before me. What were their gods? Their gods were pleasure. Their gods were power. Their gods were corruption. Their gods were unity, right? In Babel, their gods were unity. God says, go, expand upon the earth, take dominion, be fruitful, multiply. Go expand the garden. It was Adam's commission, right? Go expand the garden everywhere. This was already there. It was already there. It was already the moral law from the beginning. And we see elements of it everywhere in Genesis and Job even, right? Genesis and Job. We've seen it. We see it. And so then now we get into some specifics for Israel. Does that make sense? I think so. I think you can see that. Look, it's even set apart. We write it apart. We see previous elements of it in Genesis, in Job. And now these are the ordinances which you saw set before them in chapter 21. In chapter 21. Let's clear the law up. It's really simple. That, what we just read, has been, since the beginning, the moral law for mankind. Never change. It's not going to change. Never did change. Now, when we read these other laws to come, you can't just grab one and say, I like this, I'm going to do it. Does that make sense? I like this one, I'm going to make other people obey it. I like this one, I'm going to adhere to it. Now, there could be clarifications for Israel, elements of it that are there. This is not for you to look and make a list and obey, memorize, and say, this is what I'm going to do. Now, you could argue that there are elements of administration for a country or a government that makes sense and that you want to implement, incorporate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, I got you. But listen, this, God is showing, right, corporately, first individually, the fall of Adam, now corporately, the fall of Israel, they're not able to do it. They're not able to keep these. They cannot. They cannot. In fact, right, this is the Pharisees. They start adding more and more lists to it, more and more things. So I just want you to keep that in mind as we read through the law. So you don't misunderstand it. You don't hear something and be like, that's right. That's right. I can't believe Tommy did that. Look, he violated this. He violated this. He's not under this. Doesn't need to. Now, these are the ordinances which you shall set before them. Excuse me. 21 verse 2. If you buy a Hebrew servant, he shall serve 6 years, and in the 7th he shall go out free without paying anything. There's an element of 6 on, 1 off, right? If he comes in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he is married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife and she bears sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. But if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go free, then his master shall bring him to God and shall bring him to the door or to the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. Right. So he gets a mark in his ear, and it is the mark of servitude for a lifetime. So if I get an earring, am I a servant, a slave for life? No. Stop with it. I just told you. We just broke this down. Stop with that. If a man sells his daughter to be a female servant, she shall not go out as the male servants do. If she doesn't please her master, who has married her to himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He shall have no right to sell her to a foreign people, since he has dealt deceitfully with her. If he marries her to a son, he shall deal with her as a daughter. If he takes another wife to himself, he shall not diminish her food, her clothing, or her marital rights. If he doesn't do these 3 things for her, she may go free without paying any money. Does that mean you can buy more wives? No. That doesn't mean this is a good way. Yeah, that's it. I'm just going to leave it sitting right there. No. One who strikes a man so that he dies shall surely be put to death, but not if it is unintentional, but God allows it to happen. Then I will appoint you a place where he shall flee. If a man schemes and comes presumptuously on his neighbor to kill him, you shall take him from my altar that he may die. And so even in your legal, wherever you're living, if you're in the United States and most countries around the world, they have provisions and punishments for murder, and they have for manslaughter, right? And then manslaughter breaks down typically. If you should have reasonably known that your actions could cause danger to someone somewhere, then it's typically, some version of manslaughter or unintentional manslaughter. You typically, right, there's different punishments typically for those things. That makes sense. This is administration of a nation, laws for a nation, not the 10 foundational laws of creation that have been in place since the beginning and will always be there regardless of what laws man makes. Right? Following? We're tracking? Okay. Anyone who attacks his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. Anyone who kidnaps someone and sells him, or if he is found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. Man stealing is a capital offense. Man-stealing is a capital offense. So this one, if you buy a Hebrew servant, typically they are selling themselves out. Not man-stealing. Not man-stealing and transporting. Different things. Slavers, trappers, death penalty. Anyone who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. A lot of death penalties here. And again, administration for a nation. Administration for a nation. Before we start saying, that's right. Hey, look at this. I like this one. I don't like this one. Look at this one. Yes, because we like this one, right? Especially right now. We say slavers, man-stealers, put them to death. We don't want to have anything to do with that history, especially in America. What about this? Anyone who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. You want that? You want that one? You don't want that one, do you? No, we don't want that one. We just want to pick and choose, don't we? Yeah. Let's pick and choose. If men quarrel and one strikes the other with a stone or with his fist and he doesn't die but is confined to bed, if he rises again and walks around with a staff, then he who struck him shall be cleared. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time and shall provide for his healing until he's thoroughly healed. You take responsibility for your actions. If a man strikes a servant or his maid with a rod, and he dies under his hand, the man shall surely be punished. Notwithstanding, if his servant gets up after a day or 2, he shall not be punished, for the servant is his property. If men fight and hurt a pregnant woman, so that she gives birth prematurely, and yet no harm follows, he shall be surely fined as much as the woman's husband demands and the judges allow. But if any harm follows, then you must take life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, and bruise for bruise. You have heard it said, eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. But I say, anyone who looks to hate has committed murder in his heart. So we say this, hey, look, adultery, it's a life. It's like, abortion, it's a life. It's a life. Well, you're right. It is a life. But again, we can't just grab little bits and pieces. There's a premise. There's a basic premise. Yes, of course. Like I said, man stealing, death penalty for him here, right? Capital offense. Abortion, capital offense. But again, let's separate it, right? Let's put it where it belongs. I know. It's hard. If a man strikes his servant's eye or his maid's eye and destroys it, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake. If he strikes out his male servant's tooth or his female servant's tooth, he shall let the servant go free for his tooth's sake. If a bull gores a man or a woman to death, the bull shall surely be stoned, and its meat shall not be eaten. But the owner of the bull shall not be held responsible. But if the bull had a habit of goring in the past, and this has been testified to its owner, and he has not kept it, but it has killed a man or woman, the bull shall be stoned, and its owner shall also be put to death. Because you knew that your bull was around here running around, causing a ruckus, that there was a likely consequence. So you are responsible. If a ransom is imposed on him, then he shall give for the redemption of his life whatever is imposed. Whatever it has gored a son or has gored a daughter, whether it has gored a son or gored a daughter, according to this judgment, it shall be done to him. If the bull gores a male servant or a female servant, 30 shekels of silver shall be given to their master, and the ox shall be stoned. We see that 30 shekels of silver come up again as Christ was betrayed. If a man opens a pit, or if a man digs a pit and doesn't cover it, and a bull or donkey falls into it, the owner of the pit shall make it good. He shall give money to its owner, and the dead animal shall be his. That's yours. If one man's bull injures another so that it dies, then they shall sell the live bull and divide its price, and they shall also divide the dead animal. Or if it is known that the bull was in the habit of goring in the past, and its owner has not kept it in, he shall surely pay bull for bull, and the dead animal shall be his own. All right, last chapter here for today. A little quixie one. We're going to go to 22:15. Oh, so we're not even going to go all the way. Let me just double check. 22:15, we're not going to finish 22? 22:15, okay. All right, I guess we're going to go 22:15. This is good. Okay. So if a man steals an ox or a sheep and kills it or sells it, he shall pay 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. If the thief is found breaking in, so he's a burglar as well, he's not just stealing from the outside, and is struck so that he dies, there shall be no guilt of bloodshed for him. If the sun has risen on him, he is guilty of bloodshed. He shall make restitution. If he has nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. If the stolen property is found in his hand alive, whether it is an ox, donkey, or sheep, he shall pay double. All right, so I think we're starting to see a little, because there's some things that are coming up. You're like, that sounds right. Yeah, so if I have self-defense laws, that makes sense. We have that in my country. We have that where I live as well. That is true. Much of Western law is based on these biblical accounts that fed into the Magna Carta, right? And then continued kind of as Western law grew. And we see kind of our entire culture is built around these concepts. But there's a distinction between these and the 10 Commandments and the moral law of God that goes back to the beginning. All right? Tracking so far? Okay, good. If a man causes a field or vineyard to be eaten by letting his animal loose and it grazes in another man's field, he shall make restitution from the best of his own field and from the best of his own vineyard. If fire breaks out and catches in thorns so that the shocks of grain or the standing grain or the field are consumed, he who kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. That makes sense. If a man delivers to his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it is stolen out of the man's house, if the thief is found, he shall pay double. If the thief isn't found, then the master of the house shall come near to God to find out whether or not he has put his hand on his neighbor's goods. For every matter of trespass, whether it is for ox, for donkey, for sheep, for clothing, or for any kind of lost thing about which one says, "This is mine," the cause of both parties shall come before God. He whom God condemns shall pay double to his neighbor. So God used to judge and deal with Israel. We don't get that. Stop that. We don't get that. We don't get to go straight to God. We don't get to go grab old Billy over there. Hey, you, me. Let's go. We're going. I don't trust you. We're going to go see Moses. We're going to go to God. God's going to decide this. If a man delivers to his neighbor a donkey, an ox, or a sheep, or any animal to keep, and it dies or is injured or driven away, no man seeing it, the oath of Yahweh shall be between them both. He has not put his hand on his neighbor's goods, and its owner shall accept it. He shall not make restitution. But if it is stolen from him, the one who stole shall make restitution to its owner. If it is torn in pieces, let him bring it for evidence. He shall not make good that which was torn. If a man borrows anything of his neighbor's, and it is injured or dies, its owner not being with it, he shall surely make restitution. If its owner is with it, he shall not make it good. If it is a leased thing, it came for its lease. And there we go. There is through 22:15. We're done for the day. A quick one, I think. Nope, we're at 30 minutes. My bad. So I guess we're going to probably wrap this. Let's run it and wrap it. Thank you for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Show notes, notmanynoble.com. Facebook, Instagram, Not Many Noble. Hit me up. Twitter, JW Global Writer. I guess I tweet more about football and training and working out than anything else. But anyhow, thank you for listening, and I will catch you tomorrow.